They haven't had it?
Recording in progress.
Good for her.
Audio check again, Sean.
Sean is muted if he heard us.
He gives a text.
Yeah, you guys are all good.
Thanks, sir.
You ready? Answer.
Good morning. I want to welcome all of you to the San Luis County Board of County Commissioners regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, April the 16th, 2024. It is 9 a.m. now. Calling this meeting to order. Please rise for an invocation by Commissioner Tony Haas, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Heavenly Father, thank you for blessing our lives. Thank you for giving our transgressions. Lord Jesus, we ask you to give us all around peace in our mind, body, and spirit. Heal and remove everything that is causing stress, grief, and sorrow. Please guide our paths through life and continue to bless our families and our workplace. Faith tells us that no matter what lies ahead, you, Lord, are already there. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners. Roll call, Mr. Dorncott.
Commissioner Luis Lopez, here. Commissioner Hess, here. Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Here, approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Two changes, Commissioner, asked the board to remove item 9B. What is the consideration of the Fairgrounds Phase 1 design build contract? More work needs to be done to that. And on item 10O, I'd like to add the verbiage of my resolution
9-0.
10, 9O.
Okay.
Did I say 10?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, 9O.
Okay.
9O, I'd like to add the verbiage by resolution 24-022, so it reads, consideration of Los Angeles County handbook adoption by resolution 24-022.
24-022. Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agenda with those deletions and corrections.
Second the motion.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes. Thank you. Section 2, consideration of minutes, regular meeting minutes as of March 19, 2024. Commissioners, we received those. Any questions on those minutes? Any discussion? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve regular meeting minutes of March 19th, 2024.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes. Reading of correspondence, commissioners, committee reports. Commissioner Luis Lopez, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everybody. On the 4th of April, we had a Front Range Passenger Rail Finance Committee meeting. Today at 1 o'clock, we have an executive meeting, but I will be attending the VHS meeting and be missing this one, and I have to balance the time between both of those because they're scheduled at the same time. But at the Finance Committee meeting, we were discussing the information we have and moving forward to our consultants, Ernst & Young, and also the polling that was done. At that time of our last meeting, the polling was given to us last month in Denver. We initiated another poll to move forward with the difference in the increase from 0.4%, different perspectives. Governor Polis's team is working hand in hand with Front Range Rail in polling questions to see if we're going to get enough support to move forward with the ballot measure. That information should be given to us Thursday in Denver. I'll be able to either in person or on Zoom. I have some scheduling conferences Friday afternoon. So we'll see how that comes about. But either way, I'll be attending that Thursday meeting as well to see what the new polls results come for the ballot measure. If we proceed with one co-executive board, and with the information from the governor's office, if they feel that they have enough time to dedicate, advertise, and solicit funds for a campaign regarding that. So a lot of work with the Front Range Rail still, as always, we're hot and heavy right now. And again, I'll have that meeting in Denver Thursday, or if I can attend on Zoom, I will do that, but I will definitely be there. This is too important to the meeting, whether to leave Los Angeles County or Oakland County out of the loop. The last session we had, it was very adamant by myself, Sal Pace, and other board members that we do the entire range, Front Range Rail from the Fort Collins to Trinidad at this juncture, and have the language in the ballot read as such, whichever legally way is possible. That is our position, a few of us, and we would like to get that done to protect Los Angeles and Oakland County of taxation with representation if we are to be included in that.
So Commissioner, if I may, pardon the interruption, CCI, we had a conversation and the topic actually came, and we had a pretty robust discussion. One of the things that was recommended by that group, pretty much in its majority, to do not only the polling but the stakeholding internally with the counties that are going to be either impacted or the benefactors of that rail system.
So Front Range Rail has been had meetings throughout up and down the corridor, including coming to one to Trinidad. I think we were all there.
Yes.
So that has taken place. After this decision Thursday, that will be amped up tremendously with CCI staff. A year ago, when we had that meeting, we had 2 staff members in CCI, Front Range Rail. Now I believe we have 5 members. So our general manager and our assistant to him, Chrissy Bright, has freed up some of their time so they can actually come out and do this stuff. So the stakeholder will also be done with the governor's office of how they move forward and try to promote. So at our recent convention that I attended at the state fairgrounds, I met with many commissioners throughout the rail, including Douglas County commissioners, informing them, look, here's how we perceive, and in my personal perspective of this is Governor Polis is pushing for this rail. So we're going to get a rail one way or the other. If a ballot measure passes or fails, our governor has shown his creative ingenuity how to find funding to get his projects accomplished. And my concern is if we do not have support from counties regarding the ballot measure and they disagree with it and they oppose it, is Governor Polis will find a creative way to get this project done anyway. And at whose expense? That's my concern. And I think the cuts will come from other programs throughout the state that will affect county commissioners and our budgets. So that is my biggest concern moving forward, to not bite our nose off to spite our face, because the governor is going to push this no matter what.
And you know, one of the 2 comments came out of the meeting. One was absolutely, let's go after that federal money, because that's going to be a good seed money. That was totally supported, and let's move forward. The second one, we heard from Mulder, and Mulder will continue to be a big voice, because what they said is they basically have the infrastructure for a project that was planned many years ago. And so they taxed their community, and the project never came to them. So that, and I tell you what, our Boulder County Commissioner very sincerely said, I hope this is not going to be another Boulder initiative. And that's kind of a...
So Boulder Commissioner Claire Levy is on the Front Range Rail.
Good.
And so is Joan Peck with the city of Loveland, I believe. And so that whole corridor was forgotten about, but they were forgotten about during that initiative years ago that the rail never did it completely. So the rail had a reroute from Fort Collins out to Loveland and Boulder and then back down to Denver. That's why this whole purpose is so they can bring that to fruition and get the support of the Boulder County voters. The other option is we do the same thing up and down the Front Range to Greeley, along that corridor and omit them, and that's already been processed, it's going to go involved. And the other option is to utilize the RTD money that was taxed. That's where the money came from, was the taxation for the RTD, fast tracks, and utilize that 100 million that's sitting in the bank to use that for the federal FRA dollars that are out there, for those millions of dollars around. So that's all in the works right now to coexist collectively with RTD, that rail, that money, and the existing right-of-way to get this accomplished. It is a lot of moving parts, but we do not want to promise a rail and then never get it. And that's the concern I have for Los Angeles Waterfront County, is to make sure not. The other big holdup we're having, and I haven't got an update, that will be in today's executive meeting, which I won't be on. The big issue is the unknowns. The unknowns are the cost of the Union Pacific and the BNSF right-of-way lease agreement to Front Range Rail. Due to an issue up that has nothing to do with Front Range Rail, but up on the Moffett Tunnel. I believe I mentioned this in the board in the past. Moffett Tunnel is a railway underneath the mountain range right next to Eisenhower Tunnel. It is owned by CDOT. The 100-year lease is over with Union Pacific. That is being negotiated now how to move forward. I think that is holding up some of our information, how to work with Union Pacific and get those dollar amounts in hard numbers, so we can give hard numbers to our constituents on a ballot measure and the need. So the needs assessment, the dollars required for this bill is still kind of up in the air because of that issue as well. So there's a lot of things that are happening, but Boulder County is on board. They want to see this come to fruition now. Clearly, Joan Mayor Peck is also the same way as I am. If we're going to do it for one, do it for all, let's go paper, go home. Those were some of the comments. We have one or two board members that are concerned about the go paper, go home because of the inflation costs from now until 10 or 15 years from now, when everything will come to fruition down in Trinidad. We're hoping less than 15 years, maybe 10. But the first 5 years would be Denver to Fort Collins. The second 5 years would be to Pueblo, and then hopefully extended straight down to Trinidad with not much expense. So
I would make a recommendation at the meeting Thursday to have your executive director reach out to CCI and maybe have a lunch and learn, or even a conference.
yeah, he's been at our conferences. Last year he was in Vail. He met with the Southern District, I believe he came and met with us, and he met with the El Paso County Commissioners. But maybe we put him on his own agenda item for
Kind of a general session.
the general session.
Work with.
So what does he need to contact you, Tony?
It's pretty booked on it,
Okay.
so I've been told that.
So see if he can come to each district meeting
Yes.
and do an update there and bring all 5 of the staff members to each district meeting.
The Eastern District too, because I tell you what, the Eastern District, their biggest concern was that they've been pulling funding away from CDOT, and they have a lot of projects that have been in the works, and they're afraid that those projects won't be funded so that they can reach.
Yeah, so CDOT won't be affected with this funding mechanism because that's protected them through their TPRs and through that conglomerate. But if we do not pass a ballot measure, then that could be affected. Right, and so that's the thing. But then the voting public is only in the district. So it's not going to be the entire state voting on it. So that's the other offset. But the polling numbers that came back last month show a 65 to 70% in favor of this funding mechanism, from 2/10 to 3/10. So now we're going to see what the 4/10 looks like. And 400 million a year would be a lot better than 275 million a year, and get the rail hopefully Trinidad sooner. The reason for the time frame of the 5 years and the 5 years is because of rolling stock. The issue is getting the trains actual, the caboose, the cars and the engines and all that. It takes 5 years to get those produced. And then to have 6 trains a day, which the plans are to run up and down the corridor, we have to have multiple trains. So that's the issue we're looking at. So, but it's coming. We'll find out tomorrow or Thursday whether we're going to move forward with the ballot measure, and then I'll have a lot more in the next board meeting for you guys. On the 11th, Trinidad Renewal met. Not a lot on the agenda. We did have some presentations that evening. There is an update with the Phil Ford dealership. They are not planning to build this time. They're requesting a 3-year extension with the agreement that Urban Renewal gave to them on the lot that they own, and they surround that lot, so it's going to be difficult to put it back on to redo the whole contract. So we're going to, there were some parameters requested by me specifically to show the next phase of this and show the funding available and the new design build. The problem is the design build went from 3 to 5 million to 15 million for this dealership, and they just can't afford to do it at this time. They could do it if it was under 5 million to 8 million. They could probably do cash financing. Tim Lamb, I believe his name, the attorney, said that they feel long could do that, but now that we're looking over 10 million plus, they prefer not to and revisit how the design build's going to be, shrink down the size of the dealership. The problem that they're having is the two dealerships, Ford and Chrysler, cannot touch. So in the first design, they had a building in between them. They're going to revamp how they do that, the size and scope of the work to get that back to hopefully a more affordable price. So I mentioned to them at that meeting that I would be okay moving forward with an extension if I could see some tangible information so that we can be responsible to the constituents of the city of Trinidad regarding this design build that was supposed to be completed in 3 years, which it hasn't. So if they can provide that for us at our next board meeting, I believe the board will move forward with an extension on that for another 3 years. The question I have in conjunction with that is the huge lumber building was just sold to them, former renewal as well. And if those parameters were going to be needed as well to stop that phase, they indicated no. So that construction phase and the remodel of the huge lumber building is moving forward. So that's not going to be part of that. It's a separate, and they have funding mechanisms in place for that. So with that being said, that's why I was okay with moving forward, since they're not going to stop both projects. So that means that they have a commitment. If they're going to do one, then they just have to revamp their funding mechanism and their scope of work to do it. So it's not good for, sales tax. It's not good for construction. It's not good for sales and use tax for the county to collect for the building materials, to have to wait another couple of years until they get started on this, but it's better than an empty lot for the next 30 years. So that's kind of my perspective as a county commissioner, knowing now that we have a sales tax that we can utilize and put in place for the building and the construction needs. So again, it's better than having an empty lot. It would be difficult to sell that property to someone else because they own all around it. They would have to go to court for an easement to come out the other side on Elm Street. And it could be done. But if they follow through with what my recommendation was, I should be okay, the board should be okay to move forward with an extension. They didn't think they would need the entire 3 years, they're hoping within a year or two to start construction. Once the development was redesigned. So again, design costs are expensive too, so they're going to spend a lot of money. Other thing with urban renewal, we still have some openings. Unfortunately, we can't get a county resident, but if you live in this city, because there's 2 county residents, I don't know. If you live in the city limits and would like to join Urban Renewal Authority, we have a really good board right now that I'm doing a lot of good work. We are working with possibly some housing developments as well. Moving forward, there was another issue that I'd like to bring up regarding the Opera House. Everyone's concerned with that falling down, and the nature of that, where the developer is requesting, the owner of the property is requesting an $80,000 loan from the renewal to stabilize that particular corner. And Urban Renewal will be considering that of the loan. My concern was that meeting was we're invading in the private sector for the money, and it would be under a purview. So our legal counsel will be looking into that since we are part of Urban Renewal, and I don't think we do it. However, I have some concerns that the banks will have an opportunity to engage in such a lending mechanism. So the developer will be coming with information why they want to choose this route. She was not at the meeting, her representative was moving forward. And the other question that I had for them was a parameter I put in, and hopefully I'm not being too much of a stick in the mud as I get in this position for way too long. But my concern is, unlike the Chimino dealership, with the loss of Jay Chimino, it's still moving forward because it's in a big corporation, huge in the long run, board of directors and monies. The other investor, developer is David Crawford. My question was then too, that what's plan B? If some unfortunate thing happens to her, because, she is, well, all of us getting up in age. So that was a concern to me, if there was a plan B for us to invest $80,000 on a loan, and God forbid something happens to her, how do we, I know the collateral, we could have to price some sort of collateral. I know collateral of the building, because what are we gonna get out of a building that's dilapidated? We can't receive our funding back. So those are some of my questions, and to the shock of the board, they kind of opened their eyes a little bit. I thought maybe that's a good point. Was it appropriate? I don't know, but those are my concerns. Otero Partners met yesterday morning. Not a lot of activity. We have a couple of default loans from Trinidad that have been out for about a year now. We have located the former owner and in contact with him to start making that correct. Or we will be going after wage garnishments. That was for the Trinidad roast and the wings, hot wings place that he had. Unfortunately, he went through a family crisis and a divorce, and that's what really caused that business. And I could see that happening. It's very difficult when you go through something traumatic like that with you and your wife and kids. So he's going to be working with us, hopefully get repayment back on that. And there's $480,000 cash in the bank and over $1 million and change in assets for urban renewal. And Commissioner Esmer.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Hess? So Commissioners, I was asked to participate by Hickenlooper's office to participate in an ag roundtable. And I went to Rocky Ford and met Terracotta Farms. And there was about 50 individuals that were present. The water transfer from the Captain Ditch to Aurora dominated the conversation, and you'll see that I echoed the concerns here pretty soon. The city of Aurora about 7 billion gallons of water from the Arkansas River Basin for the transfer. $80 million sale from a 4,680 acre farm, Rocky Ford Farm. I also brought up the futile call, and you'll see there's a theme here, and the loss of agricultural land due to urban sprawl. Since 1982, 175 acres every hour, or 31 million acres has been lost to urban sprawl, either by land acquisition or sale of water to the urban and suburban expansion, and also national park designation. There's currently a large push to designate the Loris River Basin as a national park also. That would be 450,000 acre lots of ag land and controlling interest in the river basin water. So another attack on ag, in my opinion. Maybe this is part of the 30 by 30. And I echo those concerns, and it kind of woke some of the individuals up. On April 4th, I was able to attend the Big Game Corridor Resources Management Plan and final environmental statement for the Big Game Habitat Conservation on Oil and Gas Management. Since June of 2022, Holder meetings have been taking place to guide management on 13 million acres of minerals across Colorado. The public has been invited to provide support for actions and improve protections for big game management. BLM is considering restricting disturbance to the prioritized big game corridors by 3%. So experts in the cultural, historical, wildlife, paleontological, minerals, experts from EPA, CDPHE, DNR, BLM, DPW, and other big acronyms were engaged to identify the big game corridor conflicts and planning areas of resource management decision areas, while identifying fluid mineral leasing and identifying surface disturbance mitigation and reclamation. So I've attended the last 4 of these meetings. Apparently there will be 1 or 2 more, and then they're going to come out with their final report. So it was declared that they would be restrictions to gas fluid mineral leases with lease stipulations, exemptions, modifications, and waiver criteria. There will be 3 types of stipulations. No surface occupation, which is the most restrictive, controlled surface use, and then timing limitations to when they can be in there reduction. April 10th, County Health Pool met in Denver. As vice chair, I ran the meeting. Our chair was sick and out. The budget was the main theme of the meeting, and it was prepared in conformity with GASB. KFI Audit and Advisory did the audit report, and it was a stellar recommendation with no discrepancies identified, no adjustments, and a well-managed pool. There were 65 member organizations reviewed, and the audit representing the pool with a total operating revenue of $60.2 million and net position of $8.7 million. The purpose of the county health pool is to provide health, dental, vision, life, accidental death, or dismemberance insurance to the employees of the member organizations. On April 11th and 12th, I attended the CCI Legislative Steering Committee. We reviewed 42 bills, and we talked about 2 bills at length. We debated at length. Senate Bill 24-191, Host Homes for Youth. This bill requires the Colorado Department of Human Services to promulgate rules for a new licensure type for a host home. This bill defines a host home that volunteers to host youth in need of temporary placement that is associated with the host home program, providing a safe, temporary welcoming space for youth varying in the age frame from 13 to, time frame from 13 to 21 days for the age of 11 through 18 and beyond 21 days if necessary for ages 21 and up. CCI took an amended position and asked for 2 amendments. The first amendment was for liability release for the host family. They're doing this for free. They should be able to have some liability. And also, there was the amendment to not be a court-ordered government judicial case, so that there's real problematic children when you put in a host. HB 24-1379. Dredge and fill bill, one of them. Regulate dredge and fill activities in the state waters. This bill comes to us as a result of the Sackett ruling that I talked about several meetings in a row now. And while I was participating on the WOTUS task force, this bill is part of the Colorado program. It creates a dredge and fill permit program based on the existing federal 404 permit regulations for all state waters, not just DAP waters. The bill holds several exemptions and exclusions for agriculture, among others, and were exempt from the 404 permitting previously. However, they did leave out 2 or 3 exemptions and exclusions that should still be in there. My protest, and I did testify in opposition to this bill unless amended. I would like to see those dry intermittent stream beds and our retention ponds that we have in Los Angeles County because of our elevation from close to 14,000 feet to 4,000 feet in a little over 100 miles. They don't understand what these retention ponds do. They actually slow the water up to hold the contamination from, say, our burns that we've had all over our county, to slow that contamination up so it doesn't reach the downstream user. That was my testimony, and because that exemption wasn't considered, I moved to oppose the other day at CCI, and we took an opposed position of 68%. This bill would be housed within CDPHE instead of DNR. It should be with the experts. They understand water rule and law, should be housed in DNR. CDPHE handles the safety and health aspect of water, not the quality and quantity. It also does not address the previous exemptions for the agriculture that the 2016 version of WOTUS afforded. For those reasons, CCI took an opposed position. That's where it goes.
One question. So, well, in that one there, it seems like Governor Paulson is folks are finding creative ways to control the water now too. With that, but the question I have for you, you texted me regarding 184. What was the end result of the 184? That's the 50 million for the match monies for Farming Trail. Did they come to a conclusion? I haven't heard anything.
Amend, propose less amended.
Yeah.
What was the amendments?
I think they have to do with the reason of the stakeholding and
Okay.
and the polling and the figures, and then that the bill runs from exactly what the bill that has to comply with the legislation from.
State line to state line?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's what my concern was in my discussion with the organization. So make sure you can do X, Y, and Z, but our legislation, the Farmers Rail is guided by is the Senate Bill 238, 238 was back in 2021. And that's state line to state line. So thank you for doing that and texting me on that.
Yeah, I was trying to keep you abreast so you have that information at your meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioners. Mine is going to be really brief. I attended the same meeting on the 11th and 12th for CCI. Just a couple of additions on Commissioner Hass's, one of the, on the assignment of child support foster youth. One thing that the conversation for a moment went on to what happens if you have a foster family plus a safe family. Can they act as the same, and what is the liability going to do to both of them? So certainly if I'm already a foster family and I want to provide a safe place for a youth, that already gives me a certification to go on to the second program, and the answer was not quite as quick as I thought we would have it, so they're going to be looking into that, because even the safe places, they have to comply, they have to go through a background check and every single thing that foster family does. And as Commissioner has mentioned, we requested that for these safe places, the family should be given a little bit of leniency, release some of the liability, because at the end of the day, it is a gratis service. The other one of the on this one of the bills that really carried on a ton of we in fact had a presentation from DHS. The Child Welfare Allocation Formula Committee, of which I represent, it's a huge burden. I represent the Southern District, which is 19 counties. It's incredibly, we're going to be having a meeting this Friday with them. And so the legislature passed a bill in which a new funding model is going to have to be in place. So a lot of conversations that I'm having with DHS directors, including Mr. Everett here in San Luis County, but Rio Grande County did an amazing presentation. That DHS director actually put it up there. So we're going to be using a lot of speaking points on this Friday. One thing that, as we keep seeing, one of the questions that I asked, can you give us numbers with the new influx of population, how many of those are children? Because we're going to be growing our expenses, and do we align the expense versus the funding? So we're going to be having a 4-hour meeting this Friday, and certainly the recommendation has been, let's remain with the old funding model until we know exactly what's going to go forward, because the legislature, through healthcare finance and policy, may not have the dollars to provide all the services. So that went on for about an hour. They had a presentation and they went through the process of what exactly does that mean for counties. The other, one of the bills that we also had a conversation was Senate Bill 24174, Sustainable Affordable Housing Assistance. So Mr. Dorenkamp, this is something that the bill requires, basically, local government, beginning December 31st, 2026, if approved and passed, and every 6 years thereafter to conduct and publish a local housing needs assessment. The bill outlines the processes for local government conducting a local housing needs assessment and how to determine when a local government is exempt from conducting such studies and have this needs assessment 100% completed. So we, on this particular bill, we also asked for some amendments on it, because the bill requires local government to submit local housing needs assessment to the Department of Local Affairs, which shall publish those assessments on
the department's website and thereafter share that with any other state agency that they deem necessary and relatable. So in a sense, that is, we wanted so many of those things that are in this particular bill. We know this is going to be impacting urban and metro districts bigger than us. Because, you know, here in San Luis County, I don't foresee anybody doing affordable housing unless it's within the municipality's boundaries. Otherwise, we may not. But there could be an exemption in there. I just want us to keep an eye on this because we feel that this bill is going to actually be approved. But
Is there a funding mechanism in there for the studies? Or based upon, or burden put on?
it's going to be based upon working with DOLA as well. But there's one of the things that came out on this particular one is that that study has to demonstrate that we have sufficient water supply. And somebody mentioned 300 years. How do you do that? Sufficient water supply for that new housing development, and then the action plans have to be very consistent with stakeholders. So this legislation, I think it probably will pass. I'm hoping that they're going to put some amendments. Now, one of the mountain counties actually said for us to prove that we have demonstrate sufficient water supply. We probably can because they have the Colorado River going by and they have plenty of rainfall. However, yes, thank you for raising your eyebrows. However, no, what happens there is how do you get the calculation that we have enough water for whether it's 50, 100 years, and so on.
Aren't those waters already
Committed.
appropriated?
Yes, sir.
We made the waiver, the lower basin and the upper basin, and now, anyway.
Yes, so that's going to be one of the bills that we need to keep an eye on, and I made a lot of notes. I have a couple of pages here because there is going to be technical assistance. The bill requires a division of local government to provide technical assistance and guidance through a grant program, the provision of consultant services, or both to a local government. So yes, this is going to be what are the regional entities, what's creating a regional and local housing. One of the conversations that we actually got into, can we create a region? And actually the Southeast, Browers and Custer and others, they said that they're already working as a 6-county region. And that is a whole lot more manageable and palatable than going it alone. So we might have Huérfano and Las Animas and perhaps even Pueblo South. Who knows how this thing is going to work out. But this is basically the continual assessment of housing needs and planning that if the bill passes, unless we have an exception as a county, this will be something that we're going to be looking into for future assessments. And I just want to make a note on the 1379, 1379, regulate, dredge, and fill activities in state waters. The full connection there, we believe that this legislation is tied into the impacting agriculture. Because if you have these feudal water rights that are in your property and have been there for 100 years, you know, the concern of the conversation that we had is why all of a sudden is the state going to be claiming that these are state waters? And if you have 30, 50 acre lot and you have a natural spring on your property, that may not belong to you even though you have operated for 100 years. So a lot of information yet to follow. We had an opposition there which went really, I mean, to garner the 68% votes in this particular bills. That only tells us that every county, this is not a party line conflict. This is an impact on that.
And if I may add to that, on 1379, the concern with CDPHE taking that stance, they'll be able to permit. To me, it's going to be another attack on land use, because they'll be able to permit where those are gonna take place. So if it's gonna take place with something that conflicts with, say, another agenda, they don't have to permit that. And where VNR is, and the other concern is, in the hierarchy, in CPHE, they're overwhelmed at this point in their backlog. They're not taking care of their what they have to do. When they get to the point that they're behind and backlogged to the point they can't take care of these permitting processes, then EPA will be the federal jurisdiction that will do that. And we don't need that.
Well, and, you know, one of the conversations we had is that CDPHE will gain 4.75 FTEs, year 1, 4.1, year 2, 4.75. And so that's to have an oversight of the entire state with additional 5 employees, it's unattainable. Mr. Governor.
I go back to the data collection on housing needs. What is the long-term goal with all that data distributed and understood to other state agencies with what? Is government not going to start housing projects? Is that what the long-term goal here is? Or affordable housing? Or is there any language to that in that bill?
What we understood, the state demographer already has enough data throughout the entire state. The idea is when we are writing a grant or one of these studies, they'll automatically be able to see the just-in-time data that we provided a year ago, 6 months ago. And that is going to be accurate data according to the needs assessment that counties are going to have to go through. Now, the large counties, we have the 12 large counties throughout the state. There is not going to be out for them because I would imagine that needs assessment in housing is going to be a must. For us, unless Commissioner Lopez gives us that fast rail system tomorrow, people are not going to be living here and commuting to Denver. Not yet. That is probably the goal of the whole thing. But a lot of questions like the one you asked were put on the table, kind of let's wait and see what happens.
And then one to Commissioner Lopez. The fast rail you're talking about, are they planning to route the fast rail train itself to Boulder 11, or are they planning on finishing? And I believe it was the A train that was supposed to have been built to Boulder way back when 2004, I believe. So are they moving the fast rail that way, or just going to finish?
Right, so the Front Range Rail has, the route was really Fort Collins, straight down the I-25 corridor, and then north of Cheyenne, later down the road, all the way to Pueblo. That was phase 1. And that was implemented by the Federal Rail Administration through the Southwest Chief Board Directory before Front Range Rail was even convened, before the board was even obtained. So that's what we inherited. Since then, the Boulder County and the residents in that area were upset because of that fast track rail and never received the B train, or whatever they call it. So Front Range Rail has manipulated the route to go to Boulder, back to Loveland, up to Fort Collins. Basically, it's going to bypass that section of I-25 corridor. So during a recent amendment to the 21-238, there was a bill introduced to remove Weld County from the taxation jurisdiction, except for one small area up north when it comes back into the Weld County by the northern. So it has been rerouted, yes. And that is to hopefully comply with, to assist with Boulder residents, but also to work with the RTD and using that $100 million and leverage that for more grants for the Federal Rail Administration to implement that northern section. However, that will not hurt anything south of Denver. That will not hurt any of that funding mechanism south of that. That will just implement for that rail and that section that was never completed. That $100 million would leverage that money together. But yes, so back to Commissioner Felix Lopez's concerns regarding the housing, that is one of the biggest offsets that's going to be, or benefits of the Front Range Rail is in 10 years from now, if that is implemented, is the housing that is outgrown in the Colorado Springs and the Denver urban areas, where they can build north or south of those areas. So I don't know if this study has anything to do with it. Huerfano County, Pueblo County, I don't think have the water issues that the bigger, larger urban cities do. So that's probably the purpose of that. But I think the Front Range Rail will be a benefit for housing needs, attainable housing needs, for those that have to commute. And the benefits are, you know, I have a ton of them I'm not going to go into today, but the housing is one of the large ones for not just residents that not have to relocate to the big cities to be able to commute, but also for our U.S. Army and our military up in the metropolitan areas of Colorado Springs and Denver.
Thank you. I'm going to make an announcement at this time before we go to the next item at 10 a.m. We're going to have a public hearing, so wherever we are on the agenda on this particular meeting, we're going to stop that meeting and jump into the public hearing. Elected officials update. We have one of our own here in the chambers. Assessor Amado, good morning.
Good morning, all. Be thankful I just have a little note today. Thank you. I just wanted to give everybody an update of what is happening legislatively and what is happening in the course of assessors' offices. The Blue Ribbon Panel convened. They have been actually making some presentations to legislative and legislative committees. Currently, what we are being told, and we haven't seen it in black and white yet, is we are more than likely going to look at what we implemented with Senate Bill 238 and also Senate Bill 23001 out of the special session. We're anticipating that we will continue the actual value reductions, more than likely for residential and commercial properties. We will see some sort of decrease in assessment rates. We just do not know at this time what it will look like. There will, at this time, I know that there are 4 ballot initiatives, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but currently I think there are 4 going on that have to do with revenue caps, assessment rates, actual value or market value increases. A lot of these initiatives are going to contradict each other, and they don't work in conjunction with each other. So it's going to be, November is going to be a busy time for assessors and for people to educate voters. I can tell you that much. As to, we'll see what happens. And my question 3 weeks ago was, what happens if they all pass? Which one rules out? What do we go by? We are very, give me the rules and we will follow them type of assessors. So we'll see what happens there. We are also being told, and I have not seen it yet, I'm actually headed to Denver tomorrow and Thursday. There is a possibility of having a special assessment rate for schools. Because of the long bill that has come out and the way they are trying to handle school financing, there's a possibility that I could have essentially 2 sets of books. One for everybody else and one tax bill essentially for school districts. That way, the state is trying to have schools financed locally as much as possible. That way they have more state budget for the state end. That's the simplest way I can explain that. So if that does happen, we are looking at some serious computer programming, data collection overhauls.
So, question, have they discussed during that conversation regarding the school districts in the local communities, how do they abolish the ballot measures that funded those into the taxpayers when that is not passed from a local vote? Or it increases if it has not passed from a local vote from the district that they encompass?
That's a very good question, and nobody has an answer for that. And honestly, I don't think they give. I don't think they care, is my personal opinion. I think it's to the point the state needs that excess funding to fund their initiatives, and they're trying to put as much school funding. So the budget stabilization factor, the BS factor, I believe goes away this year. So BS is a good word for it, very good acronym for it. So that will be leaving due to Senate bills that were passed a couple of years ago. But there is still a large funding gap, and that is why school districts are able to increase their mill levy up to, I believe it's 22 mills general operating over the next year's 1 mill at a time. And some of our local schools are doing that. little by little. So we are seeing a slight increase. We have 6 school districts in our county. 4 of them are doing that increment, going up 1 mil at a time, because most of them are already at 22 mils for their general operating. So that was one of the ways to help get around or help to try and shore up the BS factor, but I don't know if that will work.
Last question on that. Do we have school district representation on that Blue Ribbon panel?
I do not know that answer, if they did or did not. I think there might have been one, but I think it was actually from the school district. I don't want to say lobbyist. I think there was one, but they weren't directly involved with school finance.
So could you share that information with our local school districts and get their input?
I have been trying to do that because my next House bill will, I have been reaching out to school districts. House Bill 241367. It's been introduced, I don't believe it has moved forward yet, and that is concerning stripper wells. Stripper wells in the state of Colorado are wells that are at a minimal production. As far as assessment, we value them at a minimal rate, minimal production. They bring in a little amount of revenue to counties and to special districts. Currently, there's a bill to make those stripper wells pay severance tax. Currently, they are exempt because they are minimal producers. I have been speaking with counties on the eastern slope, Weld, Garfield, Rio Blanco, us. We were the big 4 in oil and gas production. We are all seeing a decrease in production and revenue because we see so many stripper wells. In Los Animas County, we have 2,857 active wells. I have 2,161 that are stripper wells at a minimum production. Should this take place, and this is what we are hearing, is that these producers will more than likely temporarily abandon or P&A these wells, permanently plug. That will leave us with around 696 active wells. The impact, if we had to do this today, we would see a loss of $1,139,263 of actual tax revenue. This is going to affect 2 school districts, one primarily because its operating mills are 4, because they are 89% oil and gas revenue funded. Your fire districts that are on our western part of the county, Stonewall, Fishers Peak, Spanish Peaks, Mount Carbo, are going to see a huge decrease in revenue if these operators say it's not feasible to pay the severance tax, we're not making enough off of these minimal producing wells. It's just common business practice for their bottom line to TNA or PNA. Your ambulance district is going to lose almost $1 million in revenue. So this is a bill, I've passed it on to commissioners, I've also passed it on to other school districts that it could be impacted, so I'm hoping they will heed this and help in the argument and the justification of why this bill probably does not need to move forward. Because, let's face it, the state doesn't care about county budgets, but they do care about school budgets, and because that affects their budget. So school finance is going to be hopefully a big push at the table of conversation for this, is what I'm anticipating. But those are just some of the bills that are flying past my head as I'm trying to also do my job as the assessor.
Well, thank you. By the way, I passed on to Assessor Ronaldo a survey that came out from CCI. Over the next 5 years, what would the reduction of the residential assessment, if we went from where it's at 6.3%, what would that mean to your county? And over the next 5 years, what would the reduction, once again on the commercial assessment rate from 27 to 25, what would that do? In addition to that, what I think we also have is going to be the $50,000 exemption and all the other exemptions that are in place. But the initiatives that you mentioned, Jody, there are, the ballot initiative is going to be number 50, amending the Constitution, basically, to increase by no more than 4% every year. The other one, petitions approved for circulation, that's still pending, is 108, Initiative 108, Initiative 95, and 97, and 247. So we need to study all this information and see, put our minds together, perhaps they can have a work session in this,
because once the bill title clears them, they're a
Yes, and unfortunately, I know it's a joke, but as counties, we are going to be spending quite a bit in mailing because your ballot might have to be delivered by a FedEx man because it's going to be so substantially thick. And I hope not, but just a little humor for the day. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Let me call on any other elected official. Do we have anyone from the clerk and recorder's office? Anyone from the treasurer's office? Sheriff's office? Coroner's office? Hearing none, we're going to take a 5-minute recess and we'll come back at 10 o'clock for public hearing.
Motion to take a 5-minute recess?
Second the motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Priest Lopez?
Yes, thank you.
re-enter their Board of County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess? Yes. Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes. And it is now, well, one more second, I guess. Seconds count.
You're good.
All right, good morning again. It is now 10 a.m. Welcome to this Board of County Commissioners regular meeting. Public comment. It is Tuesday, April the 16th, 2024. I am calling the public hearing to order. And so let me lay down some language here that is pretty much protocol. Anyone that is going to be testifying on this particular liquor license application will do so in a respectful manner. Anyone wishing to also address this board, pro or con, will do in the same fashion. Everything and every comment that is going to be made today shall be germane, pertinent to this particular application. At any point in time, I, as the chairman of the board, have the authority to stop the meeting if the meeting was to be non-germane to the points and to the application. So having said that, at this point in time, we're going to be calling first the proponents of this particular liquor license application for testimony and any questions that the board may have. And second, I'm going to be calling on anyone that may be opposed to the application taking place and being approved as well. So having said all that, I'm going to call Mr. and Mrs. Hallmark. Would you please come up to the front? And we are going to swear you in. And if you please raise your right hand.
Solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury, the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if you'll please each state your name.
Bill Hallmark.
Tina Hallmark. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you for submitting this application. And my first question is going to be back to our council. Madam Council, you have reviewed the application and so have we. Do you have any concerns at this point in time?
The application is complete, Commissioners.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, the floor is yours. I'll yield the floor to either one of the two of you.
Anything for me, Commissioner?
Before I go.
Go ahead. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Just for the record, I like to disclose I know Bill and Tina, and I appreciate their business opportunity they brought to Los Angeles County, and I also appreciate what they're moving forward with today. It's great to see an asset like this in our community, and a service that is needed, and now to be stepping up to another venture regarding the liquor license for a need that is no longer available due to the no longer packaged liquor sales of the Stonewall shopping store. So having said that, for transparency reasons, I appreciate you being here. Questions I do have for you is on the sales of the product. The store is not going to be expanding in any size as I'm seeing in the diagram presented today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in state liquor laws, there is a parameter of liquor retail percentage of, when you have a percentage of liquor dollars being sold in these same things. So when the liquor laws changed a few years ago, I don't know if you're familiar with this, allowing grocery stores to carry 6% beer, and then now with the ballot measure passed, full wine sales, or anything infused with wine, so they can sell in those malt-based or wine-based products, including full-price wines. And it's not the question I'm asking is not so much a question, it's more of a giving awareness of the liquor law that implicates liquor license holders that are in capacity of a retail packaged liquor store. And that parameter is only a certain percentage of your other sales can be outside of your liquor sales. So basically that law unless they changed it recently, and I'm not familiar with that as the last 6 months to a year, is a majority percentage of your liquor, your establishment needs to be liquor sales. So just word of caution to, when you move forward with your beginning your new business, to really look into that too. I know you sell a lot of other things in your store, and I hate for anything to, an audit of some sort to see what your percentage of liquor sales is versus your other sales. So, other than, this application is complete, you're in compliance and everything's good to go, it's just something to be aware of, to really dive in, and you can call after your license is moving forward, the liquor enforcement to get those exact parameters of what needs to occur. So, and I don't think that's going to be an issue for you. I really think the needs in that area is going to be, you're going to sell probably more alcohol and packaged liquor will probably be a majority of your product now that you're moving into that next step. The other side of the issue that I want to bring aware of to you guys is the expense of this product and how much you're going to bring in. So it's expensive. I've been doing this 22 years in my business. So just a word of caution on that expenditure as well. But the main thing I wanted to bring up to you today was that parameter that was regarding the retail liquor versus the other products that you sell. So, and having said that, in the future, as your business grows, you might want to consider additional space, because you're going to need more space. The only other question I have is all the issues I've brought up here. You guys are the sole owner of the, it's not an LLC, or is it is an LLC?
No, it's a corporation.
Corporation, okay.
And we are the
And you are the residents of the property and reside on property? Okay, so the only question, the corporation is listed in Woodward, Oklahoma. Is that where your home office is, or?
That's where we moved here from.
Okay. So that's where you established the?
That's when, when we initially bought Wire, we were living there. That's where it was on established.
So when you did the articles of corporation, was it that
Yes.
resident, and now it is at 7600 Avenue 12?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris.
And for me, it's very thorough.
So, thank you so much. I think this grows the roots of your moving to Los Angeles County. So I'm not a liquor license connoisseur. That when I get the nod from our legal counsel, certainly I just want to wish you success. And I have no questions related to, I think Commissioner Luis Lopez pretty much covered that. And so from my perspective, I don't have any other questions. At this point in time, I'm just going to ask you to have a seat, and then we're going to open up the floor for anyone that may want to provide testimony against this particular liquor license. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
And so at this time, on this particular public hearing, I want to ask for anyone that would like to provide testimony against this liquor license applicant. One last and final time, I'm going to ask for anyone that would like to provide any testimony against this liquor license applicant. This is not testimony. Sorry. Hearing none, let me now close with this. Anybody else that would like to provide any comment in general for this liquor license applicant? Hearing none, this basically concludes this public hearing. We don't have a resolution, council, for this. That's going to be on the next meeting, correct?
We don't need a resolution for this one?
Very good. Okay. Let's go to a vote, Mr. Dorncap. Or a motion, please.
I'd like to make the motion. Before I make the motion, sir, I would like to thank our clerk and recorder's office. I believe they've worked with you on this application and moving forward, and give a shout out to Audrey and clerk Apple for their hard work in doing this stuff and bringing this forward. So, with that said, I would like to make a motion to approve the Hallmark Picket Wire Lodge and Store Incorporated liquor license application.
Second, Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Peace Lopez?
Yes, congratulations, thank you. And this concludes this public hearing. This meeting is closed. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Maybe see you fishing this weekend or something.
We're going to go now back to section 6, public comment. Mr. Dornkamp,
No one signed, sir.
thank you. Anyone online at this time for public comment? Hearing none, we're going to go to section 9, new business, consideration of IFP 24C001, Courthouse County Court Upgrade Award. Mr. Dornkamp.
Commissioner, before you is for your consideration is IFP 24-C001. We solicited bids for the upgrade of the county court room with the following results. Turback Construction Group, $114,380. QR Construction Group, $140,370.05. We had budgeted $190,000 for this project. Excuse me, most of it being paid with underfunded courts monies. And I asked the board to approve Turback Construction Group's bid at $114,380.
Commissioners, any questions?
Question I do have, Chairman, thank you, Mr. Dornkamp, with the difference from the amount budgeted to the amount we will be awarding. Will we have to return the excess back to the underfund, or could we use it in case we have some change orders if necessary?
We will hold on to it until we see what change orders may be necessary, because I have suspicions we're going to run into some once they start remodeling, especially the backside of the current judge's bench. I'm sure we're going to run into some stuff back there unanticipated, and if not, we'll go ahead and try and improve some other areas that would get the full expenditure of those funds that are awarded to us.
And when did they begin this project and what's the sunset?
I don't recall, Commissioner, off the top of my head. It should be listed in our bid that I included here. I know that I have been contacted by the Trinidad Group asking when they would be able to start the total awards. We consider it per our bid documents today.
The reason I was asking is, how will that inconvenience the courts?
We worked with Court Administrator Bob Brennan on this at length, and he's going to work with his judges to try and fit their dockets such that they won't be using that county courtroom. We end up having to make other accommodations. We talked about that. We talked about well, here in Chambers, we would also talk about that first floor conference room as possibly being a place that they can hold some of their court docket hearings. And it's 180 days from the award of the board is what it's supposed to be paid. We hired on as part of this project Alpha Designs, Dave Little. Right on, we sought engineers and architects in this area. And that's typically the way his team is set up, is he gives them a time frame with which end to do the work. Thank you.
And I'm sure I've asked this question repeatedly. The underfunding, you made it very clear that we needed to give the go-ahead throughout this entire project. So I'm sure they're receiving updates and will be receiving updates.
That's correct, and we had a number of emails back and forth regarding a project manager. They've been underfunded and kicked in another $30,000 to bring in a project manager. We finally got them convinced that the architect who designed the whole thing is probably the best person suited to be the project manager. So Dave Little will be our project manager on this also. Back to your point, yes, we will let underfunded know that when we start, that the contract has started, and when the board, if the board chooses to award this, we'll let them know that the board has awarded this contract to Trinidad Construction Group or the other company, whoever the board so chooses.
One last question, is this going to, with our renovations occurring now, going to give any more headaches for the board?
It will, there's no denying it, and we got HVAC going here and hole drilling and hazardous material mitigation. One contractor getting another, it's gonna happen. We warned everybody.
So
They're just gonna have to work around one another. We will not take the elevator down out of operating, no telling when it will go down on its own, but we won't take it down for reparations and repairs until after the election in November. Because everybody needs to use it to get their pieces and parts up to the different floors for their projects that are currently on. They be the contractors, so
It'll be worth it.
it will be.
Growing pains.
This,
Any other discussion, commissioners? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve item B24-C001, Upper House County Court Upgrade Award to Trinidad Construction Group for $114,380.
Second motion.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes. Consideration of 24R002 ANS asphalt paving change order number 1. Mr. Dornica.
Commissioner, we solicited bids for 24-R002. The board, at your last meeting, awarded this to ANS Construction. These were the change orders that I mentioned then, that there's going to be a number of them. And the first one has to do with County Road 83.1. This is the road that's just north of the Honey School that's currently gravel. And we wanted to put a hard surface pavement on that to tie in our county road. I think it's 43-1 that runs on the east side of the school into the school's asphalt parking lot. In my estimates, the paving part of it is very close, but the ancillary items, which were in essence required in order to get the funding for this project from our CDOT Main Street grant, we had that in bike racks, benches, and signage and stuff, which is okay. And some of those items came in much higher than what I had estimated. So that being said, we had a budget from CDOT Main Street of $56,780. And this phase of the bid came in over budget. So I've asked, and the contractor said okay with removing the following items, ancillary items. And that would be 2 share road signs, the bike rack, no motor vehicle signs, and then the yellow striping. We'll have the road and bridge crews do that work, so we are in compliance with the CDOT Main Street grant agreement. And this will reduce the cost down to $57,155, which puts us just a little over the budget. So I'd ask the board to approve this change order.
Any discussion, commissioners?
Any questions?
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 24R002 ANS asphalt paving change order number 1.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes. 9B, consideration of 24R002 ANS asphalt paving change order number 2. Mr. Dornica.
Another source of the funding, commissioners, were from Energy Impact, and the bid on this phase of our project came way under bid, which is a good thing for us, so we were able to expand some of what we wanted to get accomplished. And this here is a change order to increase asphalt being placed in the, I'll call it in the Masonic Cemetery area. Part of our project, we have $50,000 from the city of Trinidad, who graciously offered $50,000 for County Road 69-6, which is also known as Arizona, from North Street up to the road that's on the north side of the Masonic Cemetery, which I believe is 28.1. The city's kicking $50,000 to help us get that overlaid. So in addition to that, we'd also like to overlay from that intersection back to the resident, or back to the dump, and then two other streets. I think they're 27-8 and 26-7 and 26-8. That would all be new asphalt. So that's the board to approve this change order, so we can get that extra work done also.
So those two streets are the ones that immediately go east and west from the exit of the county fairgrounds across to the Masonic Cemetery. That's one of the streets, and then the one north of that as well.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions?
The north road of that was in front of the old diesel repair shop.
This 26-8.
So, and I know that shop's probably still in operation. Will we need to, will it support the, what are we doing, a 4-inch lift on that?
Maybe 4.5 is what we're.
So that should be plenty enough
4.1, excuse me.
to support the weight of those heavy trucks coming in there as long as well as it was going into the city to pack.
Yes, we're going to overlay, I think there's an existing 4-inch mat there on Arizona. And we're going to put another 2.5 of these over there to support there. It's 2.5.
I appreciate this coming forward, commissioners. This was 7 years in the making as a county commissioner for me. Nothing but multiple complaints over the years, so thank you for us finally getting this done. And government does work slow, but it does work. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
If we don't have any other discussion, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve 24-R002 ANS asphalt paving change order number 2.
Second motion.
Mr. Reese Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Felix Lopez?
Yes. 9E, consideration of 24-R002 ANS asphalt paving change order number 3. Mr. Darmington.
Commissioners, the third one of these change orders, this will be an overlay on County Road 83.3, which is from County Road 40.6, which I call Main Street there in Holly on the far west end of Holly, back north to the end of the asphalt, which is back to the west on County Road 42. It'll be a 2.5-inch, I think, overlay is what I anticipated, yes. 12 feet wide and a mile long. And I haven't gone through all the adjustments on the overall project cost at this phase, but I will here since this is the final one and all the adjustments are made up to this point. The contract's total original price is $1,651,180. The second change order increases to $1,958,336. This change order is going to increase it to $2,164,716. And as mentioned, we've got underfunded monies, or excuse me, we've got energy impact and county funds and city of Trinidad funds. I believe the total $206,381. So that's the board. Excuse me. I'm missing my note here. Total funding is $1,956,780. So you're going to have to cover some road and bridge funds, and I've worked those numbers in our current budget to be able to afford that extra money in order to get the asphalt paving overlay on 83 all the way into the existing asphalt.
One question, Mr. Dorncamp. I noticed in all the 3 change orders, the completion deadline is 5 p.m. October 31st, 2024. Will not change.
It has not changed in their name, and the contract is okay with that.
Okay. I noticed that on all 3 of them, so I want to make sure that my question always is what happens if he does?
I can't imagine why they would, because they said they would come in the latter part of the summer, because I asked them to try and at least get 831 north of the Honey School paved while school is not in session.
Yes.
So that's what we're pushing forward to try and complete first.
Any more discussion, commissioners?
Just thank you once again to my to Road and Bridge Department and Mr. Dorncamp and fellow commissioners for these projects that are being implemented primarily in my district, and fruition. So with that, I will make a motion to approve 24R002 ANS asphalt paving change order number 3.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes, 9F, consideration of public trustee first quarter report. And I think commissioners, we have that pretty much straightforward. Any questions, any discussion? If none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the public trustee first quarter report.
Second motion.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes. 9G, consideration of Colorado Parks and Wildlife Regional Partnership Initiative, Spanish Creek Outdoor Coalition CDR Associate Agreement. Mr. Dorian.
Commissioner, for your consideration is Colorado Parks and Wildlife Regional Partnership Initiative, Spanish Peace Outdoor Coalition, CDR Associates Agreement. We, sometime back, asked responses to an RFP that we had submitted, and the board, a few meetings back, chose CDR to help us through this process. This is being funded by Colorado Parks and Wildlife Regional Partnership Initiative Grant to the tune of $100,000. And a little bit of back and forth with CDR, we've, I believe, come to a contract or an agreement that would work, with the exception of an administrative assistant. Paul Lucero pointed this out this morning. On the signature line, they had me, I would prefer to add Commissioner Felix Lopez, representing the chair of the board, to make that signature, not myself.
Thank you, sir. That was going to be my recommendation.
Do I have to read that?
Pardon?
Are you going to read your agreement? If you do that, you figure you just going to scratch it.
I would change it, and
We'll change it, and when we make the motion, let's make sure that the motion carries with proper name on the signature. Any questions on this topic? We'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Regional Partnership Initiative, Spanish Peaks Outdoor Coalition, CDR Associates Agreement, with the change of Phil Barngap striped and implemented Commissioner Felix Lopez, Chairman of the Board.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez.
Yes. 9H, consideration of courthouse elevator upgrade TK elevator agreement. Mr. Dorian.
For your consideration, Commissioners, another agreement, this one with TK Elevator. We mentioned briefly about the elevator upgrades that won't take place until after the November election, and this is the company that is, I'm asking the board to award that work to. I think we've got everything ironed out with a few exceptions of what we really desire, but I think it's, minimal, that is possession of the elevator. If we don't care, we don't believe it's what it boiled down to. Because TK wanted some, my words, leverage to his severe building, so. And TK, it's their hardware and software that's already running that elevator, and it's going to be an upgrade. And also, as part of that upgrade, they're going to bring all the systems into code, which right now they aren't. So, but as with many remodels, when you go to remodel something, you have to bring it up to the current code, which is what we're having with this project also.
So, Mr. Dorian, on one of the paragraphs, it says these proposals will remain in effect for the next 30 days unless it is revoked earlier by TK elevator in writing. The price above is subject to escalation even after purchaser accepted this proposal, because we know there is the fluctuation of prices between here and there. I'm hopeful that this will remain pretty close the same. Otherwise, you will be bringing to us a change order to
to approve whatever difference, and I hope that if we come under that budgeted price, which would be the best of both worlds.
I'm sure we won't see a change order asking us to go less than one contract. That's been my experience. We've crossed our fingers, but we do have budget $273,000 for this project, and their proposal is 236, well, close to 237,000. So we've got a little bit of wiggle room in there. Because you're right, Commissioner, the way supplies and products are, I have no doubt there's going to be some changes between now and after the election in November when it comes to materials and costs.
Commissioners, any other discussion on that?
Any concerns, council?
No, this is the edited version, and we've discussed it. I have no major concerns with this version.
Motion passed. Okay, otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the courthouse's elevator upgrade TK elevator agreement to $236,966.12.
Second motion.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes. 9I, consideration of DHA Mark Housing Complex letter of support. Mr. Dorncamp.
Commissioner, before you is a letter of support for the Trinidad Housing Authority Mark Complex. They had asked the board to pin and submit to them a letter of support for this project is to help with some of the affordable housing issues within our county with the city of Trinidad.
First of all, I want to thank you for having this document, and I think, as we speak, affordable housing or availability of housing statewide, certainly we want to welcome and encourage anyone that wants to develop and erect some of these so much needed housing. Commissioners, the floor, any questions, any discussion?
Just to add that the urban renewal is also in support of this housing complex. And we've also had a lot of discussion regarding the blighted houses in our community and coming into sustainable housing for the area up to 92 units as of this time. So this will be an additional amount for obtainable housing, and this one is actually affordable housing. And we support that as well from your renewal standpoint. That's it. Make a motion to approve the THA Mark Housing Complex letter of support.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes. Thank you. 9J, consideration of courthouse phase 3, QECS change order number 1. Mr. Dorncamp, you're in the spending mood right now, so back to you, sir.
Our finance director's on vacation, so now's the time to put all this in front of the board. Commissioner, before you, the consideration is change order number 1 for QECS. They are the company that's been contracted to do the hazardous material mitigation within the courthouse as the HVAC system is installed. And this is the first change order at a cost of $3,590. The previous contract amount was $45,175, which we have used very little of that right now. It's anticipated that we will as the progress moves from the 3rd floor down to the 2nd and 1st floors. There's a little more mitigation, mitigations to go on as they start popping holes, like they were describing, drilling holes through the floors into the tiles that have some mastic glue, like they were describing, that is called hot. So this is a change order that came up with additional pipe insulation that wasn't seen when it was first, that courthouse was first analyzed. I believe it was up in the rafters of the 4th floor, I think is what I want to say, or maybe it was in the basement. I don't recall. There's been so many of these findings that I'm losing track. Anyway, that's what this is about. So that's some more to do with this.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the courthouse phase 3 QECS change order number 1 with an increase of $1,590, a total of $48,765.
Second the motion?
Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez.
Yes. 9K, consideration of courthouse phase 3 QDCS change order number 2, back to you, Mr. Veronica.
Commissioners, this is for the cleanup. I believe it is probation where the seating tiles were not anticipated to need to be moved, but after discussions with myself and with maintenance, one of the workers actually fell through one of those seating tiles. It's a drop seat, one of those seating tiles, and at that time, it had the same shape and consistency as the seating tiles in the elections office, which they do spot testing when they come in and look at the side look hours like a little courthouse here. Those tested hot, those tiles tested hot, and they were identical in sight and consistency that it is anticipated that those in the third floor probation office are also hot. So this is a change order to take those seating tiles out, because as the contractor mentioned, that if our maintenance ever has to get up in there and fix anything, we don't want them going through any kind of seating tiles that may be hot. So it's cheaper, rather than bringing in a third-party company to come in and test the tiles, or get a sample of tiles, send it off, get it tested, and say yes or no. It's actually cheaper, and yes, and we have an additional cost, it's actually cheaper just to go ahead and do a change order to get those tiles removed at this point.
Nobody was injured when you fell through the
So, not that I see.
CHP will be glad.
And the contractor who's doing the removal actually gave us a good break on this, because I think I included it as part of your packet. The square footage price of their proposal, the 45,000, the original proposal, is well above the set, it's not going to be like $22,000, but he says since he's already geared up, had everything masked off, et cetera, it would give us a break to just cover basically their labor costs and disposal costs.
Any additional questions? Go ahead and take a motion.
Motion to approve courthouse phase 3 QVCS change order number 2 for the total price of $7,592.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Lopez?
Yes. 9L, consideration of Airport Bravo Division of Reclamation, Mining and Safety Annual Report, map and fleet. Mr. Veronica.
For you commissioners, we do frequently throughout the year is our airport annual report, map and fee. He's $791 since it's a 112 permit. So that's the board to approve.
A little bit of a facetious question. I guess the portal administrative fee, $18.56, is that collected by the state agency?
I believe it's actually a third party that takes a portion of that, but I would guess that the state agency probably receives a percentage of that fee.
Okay. I find that to be, I mean, that's, we use a type of accounting card, a bit exuberant, but it is what it is.
As the state tries to push credit card companies charging absorbent interest, et cetera, on their credit cards down, but that's different, this is the state agency.
Thank you, sir. I did highlight that section just for, if that's where we're going, I'm going to cancel my credit card. So thank you so much. Commissioners, any discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the Airport Gravel Division of Reclamation, Mining and Safety Annual Report, map and fleet.
Second motion?
Mr. Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Felix Lopez?
Yes. 9N, consideration of MMT ambulance application.
Issue 43 consideration is ambulance services application submitted to the board by MMT to provide transports, I believe is what they're looking at doing from And this amounts sand to other facilities up and down the I-25 corridor. And I believe they have submitted an application and got their inspections done on their vehicles.
Council, do you have any concerns with any of the documentation provided?
The application appears to be complete as to what we require.
Commissioners?
So my questions are, do we have a representative? I guess we don't, it's not a public hearing, so it's just an application. So we already have a ambulance district here, I believe. So my question, I guess, to myself or to Mr. Dorn would be, this organization is requesting to provide service in Los Angeles County, transports from, to and from Mount St. Raphael Hospital North. Do we know any of that? So it would be a private entity just applying like another liquor license or any other type of license in the community to do business here. Is that what we're looking at?
In fact, it says here, they're a for-profit corporation.
So they basically just have to follow the protocol that's required by Los Angeles County of getting licensing, which will be changing here in June and going to the state, but as of right now, they have to follow our protocol just as the Trinidad Ambulance District, which is in the room today, representatives to do so. And we have no other authority other than approving or denying the application, correct?
That's correct. And then part of this application, as one of the meetings that we had up north, this is going to be kind of a practice that has been witnessed throughout the state, where some of the ambulance providers, ambulance service providers, are going to adjacent counties. And so, from the perspective of a county, as June, July comes around, all the regulation and inspection is going to be correct back to the state. But as far as this particular application in front of us, I believe it is, and I have no idea how many transports. It's not really clear in the paperwork other than they would be doing service in the San Luis County.
So as a Board of Health member, I see the Health Department application is complete and signed by the ambulance inspector, Robin Sykes, for the 32724. As legal counsel said, the application seems to be in order. I have no other questions.
None less. Okay, we'll move on, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve MMT ambulance application.
Second motion.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Felix?
Yes. 9N, consideration of IFB 2024-D02 diesel fuel bid, Mr. Dorrington.
Mr. Floyd, for your consideration is IMB 2024-D002 diesel fuel bid to be delivered to our fairgrounds fuel facility. The following for approximately 1,700 gallons of diesel to be delivered to our fairgrounds fuel facility. The following results: world fuel $2.709 per gallon, standard price $19,504.80 on Hunt Valley. $2.63 per gallon, $18,936. Acorn Petroleum, $2.63 per gallon, $18,864. Also, oil no bid. I ask the board to approve Acorn Petroleum's bid of $2.62 per gallon, standard price $18,864.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions on that? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve IMG 2024-D02 diesel fuel bid to Acorn Petroleum Inc., $2.62 a gallon, for a total of $18,164.
Second motion.
Mr. Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Felix?
Yes. 9O, consideration of the San Luis County handbook adoption by resolution 24-022. Mr. Dorrington.
Commissioners, as we said before, yeoman's work from county Attorney Nelson and DHS Director Michael Aragon put together a handbook that is up to date and also addresses a lot of the things that our old handbook did not address. And so before you is your adoption of that, be resolution 24-022. I believe Attorney Nelson sent the latest version. Yes, okay.
I did, but can you just decide? Version in the packet has some redundant on the explanation that's not.
Yes, I have the one that you sent this morning.
Does it show the same issue?
I believe it does. And Commissioners, I submitted to Administrator Lauren Camp and Legal Counsel some edits as I went through. And the version that we have as of this morning is the one, the corrected version.
When I pulled up the version I sent this morning, the page numbers were fine. For some reason, in the one in the packet, it grew up page 44, we have 444, so. That's what I asked you. No, so look at the version I sent this morning, page numbers are okay on my end now, so.
Okay.
It's okay on your end, and that is the final.
The final.
The one that's titled Handbook Final Version with FL edits. Yes, that's the one, okay, yes.
Any questions, Commissioners, either for Council or Administrator Lauren Camp? If not, Mr. Lauren Camp, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of Board of County Commissioners of Los Angeles County adopting Los Angeles County Handbook, Resolution 24-022, whereas Los Angeles County Board of County Commissioners, the board in Brandon, has adopted and enforces policies and guidelines governing its personnel and setting out the rules and procedures for employee conduct in the performance of their respective duties. And whereas the board from time to time has amended said policies to meet the needs of the county and its employees most effectively. And whereas the board has determined it is appropriate to best meet the needs of the county and its employees to revoke the previously adopted personnel policies manual along with the amendments and to adopt a new manual/handbook. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Los Angeles County, Colorado, that one, the attached document is hereby adopted and shall be enforced as the policies and guidelines governing all Los Angeles County personnel sets out the rules and procedures for employee conduct and the performance of respective duties as employees of Los Angeles County. 2, all orders, resolutions, bylaws, policies, or regulations of the county or parts thereof relating to personal matters that were adopted prior to the date of this resolution are hereby repealed. 3, the Board of County Commissioners hereby directs that copies of this resolution and attachments be provided to each elected official and all county employees within all departments and offices. Motion made and seconded for revoke this resolution was adopted the 16th day of April, 2024. Board of County Commissioners, Los Angeles County, Colorado, followed by your signature lines.
Mr. Lauren Camp, any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the Los Angeles County Handbook adoption.
Second motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis?
Yes.
Commissioner Priestley?
Yes.
That's another one, 7 years in the making. Thank you all for doing this, for all your hard work and efforts, and also our staff and our other elected officials for their input.
A lot of participation.
Right.
Thank you. We're going to go to section 10, financial matters, consideration of bills and payroll for the first half of April 2024. Go back to you, Mr. Keep spending, Mr. Torres.
Total payroll for, please correct John here, if I did this wrong here, for April 15th, first half of April, $203,250.85.
What I have.
We get two bills. And for bills, paid April 5, $1,350,672.57.
Which one of the big expenditures was the HVAC to Miller for $1,079,000. And there was an expenditure for road and bridge equipment, $139,000. And then we had a quality environmental control, energy cleanup, $34,660. Those are big ticket.
Correct. And the road bridge equipment, that was our 5th tractor, or our tractor trailer, belly dumps truck. That's the 5th one that we ordered from, I think, spring 2022. So we took delivery of the last one. And then the fairgrounds cleanup is relating to hazardous materials over the fairgrounds, grandstands, along with the vision stuff. I think we worked through a few years back. So that's what this is all about. So once we get the mitigation done at the fairgrounds, the board's already awarded the RFQ to Park Valley. We get that contract in place, which will come from the board here over the next week or two. We actually get some renovations on there, the grandstands and other facilities. So slowly make progress.
7 years of making.
As you do the cleanup, how do you prevent the pigeons? How do we prevent that from ever building up to the same level?
I've been assured that every hole that the pigeons can climb in, we're on has been plugged. And to date, one pigeon's been in here, and they thought it was a leftover from whenever they'd done the initial cleanup, because I've not heard word that any more pigeons have been located inside the area that they had used.
I think we could schedule a walkthrough as the project is done, because we know that before and after, that would be awesome. Not necessarily awesome, but that would be good to see.
Good to see.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on the financials?
Move to approve bills and payroll for the first half of April 2024.
Second.
Mr. Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Felix Lopez?
Yes. 10B, information on the financials as of March 2024. Back to you, Mr. Dorian.
Commissioners, in front of you, you want the financials all deferred to the chair, he's the accountant, I'm not.
But I want to sincerely thank Christy for the information that she provides. As you will go through each one of the funds, the general fund, and you'll see the usage, budget, year-to-date expenditures, so on. So it is, when you look at the bottom line, simply the question that I would have for Christy is what adjustments would you be making, and when are you going to be booking some of those revenues? But overall, I believe that this is a good progress report. As you see, one of the big questions that we usually have is road and bridge. But again, there's a lot of funds coming in, going out, and it's a matter of just timing these transactions properly. So, thanks to Finance Director Christie.
Commissioner, I do believe that she's in the middle of the audit too, with that company with the board, working agreement with this past fall. I can't recall off the top of my head the name of that company, but so we'll see what they want to look back and what they don't want to look back and look forward, et cetera. So,
Thank you. That pretty much this does not require any approval. Executive session. Any items?
That's a first.
Should have had that today.
On that note, having no other items on this agenda, commissioners, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes. Commissioner Easton?
Yes.
Commissioner Priest?